Grandma 1, Bobcat 0. This may well be the world's most badass grandma who managed to fight off and kill a big wildcat with nothing but her bare hands. The attack went down around 6 p.m. on June 7th. Dee Dee Phillips told the Athens Banner-Herald that she put a "Women who behave rarely make history" bumper sticker on her truck and wanted to snap a photo for her husband. After walking out of her HART County, Georgia home with phone in hand, she saw a bobcat in her yard and managed to take a picture before it pounced. As the daughter-in-law of a bobcat trapper, Phillips knew the animal would go straight for her jugular, so she grabbed it by the shoulders and took it to the ground. The 46-year-old managed to get her hands on the feline's throat and squeezed, not once screaming for help in case her 5-year-old granddaughter came running out. She shouted for help only when it stopped moving and didn't release her grip until her son had stabbed the animal multiple times to make sure it was dead. Phillips got bruises, broken fingers, and puncture wounds on her hands and arms from her encounter with the bobcat, which turned out to be RABID. She's had to get treated for rabies and has had the first round of painful shots, which cost an eye-popping $10,000. With no insurance and 4 more rounds to go, Phillips' cousin has set up a Fundly account to help raise money for her medical expenses. Help!
Mountain lion snatches dog from sleeping owner's bedroom. Officials in San Mateo County, California are advising local residents to be wary of mountain lions after one of the big cats ran off with a small family dog. Pescadero homeowner Victoria Fo said the incident occurred early Monday morning as she slept with her daughter and their 15-pound Portuguese Podengo named Lenore. Fo had left her French door slightly ajar to let in some fresh air, and an uninvited mountain lion walked right in. Around 3 a.m., Fo woke up as Lenore barked aggressively. She saw the shadow of an animal enter the room and took Lenore from the bed. Fo's daughter said she knew something wasn't right as Lenore let out a bark she had never heard before, but she kept her eyes closed. Police and California Fish and Wildlife officials confirmed that the paw prints near the Fo's house were those of a mountain lion. Blood stains from Lenore were also found on the doorstep.
Bali elephant attacks and kills handler. An elephant handler on the Indonesian holiday island of Bali died horribly on April 28th when the pachyderm he was planning to feed suddenly and violently snapped. The victim was Balinese man Inoman Levy, the owner of an elephant tour and rafting concern. According to eyewitnesses, Levy and 2 other handlers went to the elephant cage around noon to feed the animals. As Levy began the feeding, a bull elephant named Lampong attacked. The other handlers watched in horror as Lampong wrapped its trunk around Levy, lifted him up, and then smashed him into the ground with brutal force. Levy quickly lost consciousness. The other handlers swiftly delivered the poor mangled man to the hospital, but his injuries were too severe, and Levy died a short time later. A post-mortem exam revealed nasty gashes on Levy's head and the right side of his chest, according to the Bali Post. Police, stating the obvious, have recorded Levy's death as a workplace accident. One of the hazards of working with giant, unrestrained animals, unfortunately. There was no immediate word on the fate of the elephant.
Russian zookeeper mauled by tiger. Visitors at a Russian zoo saved a woman from a horrific death by tiger mauling, and it's all thanks to their quick thinking. Someone had left the 16-year-old Siberian tiger's cage open, so when the zookeeper wandered into the enclosure to deliver food, the animal pounced. The terrified zookeeper was pinned helplessly on the ground as the big cat clawed and gnawed at her. Onlookers began throwing rocks at the animal, but only made it angrier. It wasn't until some visitors hurled a table and chairs into the enclosure that the tiger got distracted, which allowed the zookeeper to flee to safety. The 44-year-old zookeeper was immediately taken to the hospital and is currently recovering from her wounds. The tiger was later shot with a sedative and taken back to its cage. Zoo staff say the animal has no history of being aggressive towards humans and will not be put down. They're also blaming the attack on the zookeeper, claiming that the gruesome incident happened because she violated safety protocol. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. A Virginia woman hoping to get a big, juicy steak instead got a substantial helping of snake, with a side of venom. While walking through the foyer at Longhorn Steakhouse with her family, Rachel Merrick's left foot got chomped on by an unlikely culprit. Thrice. Initially thinking she got stung by a bee or hornet, Merrick groped her foot and realized to her horror that there was an 8-inch copperhead snake attached to it. After quickly shaking it off, her boyfriend and son stomped on the snake to kill it. They then called 911, but left the dead snake on the floor so the EMTs could confirm what it was. Waiting for help was excruciating as Merrick's foot quickly began to swell. When the swelling later spread all the way to her hip and thigh, doctors gave her antivenom. She has since been released after spending over 5 days in the hospital, but says the recovery will take about 3 more months. Ouch. Copperhead bites aren't fatal to humans, but they are pretty painful. The restaurant still doesn't know how the snake got in, but suspect it may have slithered in from a retention pond down the hill. Probably wanted a nice juicy steak too. That bear certainly doesn't want a selfie. Warning, the following video contains content that viewers may find upsetting. A man in eastern India decided to take a selfie with a bear one day. However, that decision cost him his life. According to India's Indian Express, Prabhu Batara had stopped to go to the bathroom on the way home from a wedding when he saw the bear and just had the sudden urge to take a selfie with it. Here are some photos of what happened. Yeah, that's not a good selfie. Villagers at the site reportedly threw rocks at the bear hoping to rescue Batara, but that really didn't help much. Poor Batara struggled for 2 hours and unfortunately didn't survive the ordeal. Forest officials eventually made it to his side and tranquilized the bear, later recovering Batara's body. Now that's scary. USA Today reports that a bison attacked a woman last Wednesday morning after it was approached by a crowd. The crowd was walking on a boardwalk close to the bison and was apparently within 10 yards of the animal. When it noticed the people lurking around, it was apparently agitated and it decided to charge toward the crowd. A woman identified as Kim Hancock was gored by the bull, which reportedly left immediately after attacking Hancock. The Sacramento Bee reports that Hancock was then taken to the hospital by an ambulance after sustaining a hip injury. The Sacramento Bee also reports that this is the 3rd time in a week that animals from Yellowstone have attacked humans. 2 women were reported to have been attacked by the park's female elks earlier this month.